and he'll never walk again. On a lighter note, we've got some breaking news over at the Moo Moo farm. We'll send it over to Ben, who's already on location.
Don't pasteurize our milk. No pasteurization.
No raw milk.
Say no to holistic foods. Come on,
No
guys.
pasteurization.
Come on, more enthusiasm.
No pasteurization.
Say no to
Pasteurization.
pasteurization.
Raw
Take the
milk.
P out of pee.
Raw milk.
Got raw milk? Yeah.
Good morning, I'm Ben Kober, broadcasting live from Moo Moo Farm, where protesters are assembled due to recent events. Whole Foods and other natural food suppliers have discontinued the sale of raw milk because of the dangerous effects on the body. Raw milk can contain Listeria, Salmonella, Campylobacter, and Brucella. Besides the awful infections that these pathogens can cause, more serious conditions such as acute renal failure can result. This is exactly the case with 6-year-old Sunshine Moonbeam. Sunshine was rushed to the emergency room only after much persuading by the Moonbeam's next-door neighbor, Dr. Williams. Upon arrival to the hospital, Sunshine presented with abdominal cramps, vomiting, and bloody diarrhea appearing the previous evening. Laboratory tests were performed in order to confirm the presence of a toxin known as Shiga toxin in Sunshine's blood. Shiga toxin is synthesized from bacteria found in unpasteurized milk. Both the toxin and the bacteria have deleterious effects in the body. This unfortunate event has sparked the natural food suppliers to remove raw milk from their shelves, creating an uproar in the hippie community. I have Rainbow here with me about her take on the situation.
My name is Rainbow, and I feed my kids raw milk all the time because pasteurization takes out nutrients that we need to feel at peace with the earth. It has bacteria that are our friends and that link us together with our brother cows. And I feel like when I drink pasteurized milk, my body is conforming. Drinking raw milk, my body speaks out against conformity. And that's what my message here is, Holistic Foods. Don't conform. Keep it natural.
Well, thank you, Rainbow. We're going to send it back now to Channel 7 senior medical correspondent to discuss a case in more physiological detail.
Thank you, Ben. We'll start with the differential diagnosis. Sunshine presented with diarrhea, vomiting, and stomach cramps, and the values displayed in the table were gathered at the hospital. Additionally, a blood smear showed poikilocytosis, which is the presence of abnormally shaped red blood cells and is shown in this picture here. As the values in the table indicate, this patient had a low hematocrit and low platelet count, but abnormally high serum creatinine and blood urea nitrogen levels. The poikilocytosis and low hematocrit suggest hemolytic anemia. The low platelet count indicates thrombocytopenia, which is defined as low platelet count. And the high serum creatinine and BUN levels indicate acute renal failure. This suite of symptoms, hemolytic anemia, thrombocytopenia, and acute renal failure, characterizes hemolytic uremic syndrome, or HUS. This patient's presenting symptoms, coupled with the information that his mother fed him unpasteurized milk, which we know to be full of pathogenic bacteria like E. coli and Shigella, shown on the screen behind me, suggest infection with an enteric pathogen, that some strains of enteric pathogens produce the Shiga toxin, and that the Shiga toxin causes hemolytic uremic syndrome, suggests this patient's diagnosis, which is infection with an enteric pathogen and subsequent Shiga intoxication precipitating HUS and renal failure. In the following sections, Alex will describe the action of the Shiga toxin and how it causes HUS and kidney failure. She will then describe the effect of kidney failure on the cardiovascular system. But first, Stephanie will review the process of filtration in the kidney so we can understand how kidney failure arises. Over to you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Sarah. Filtration is the process by which protein-free plasma exits the blood and enters the filtrate in the nephron to undergo processing that removes waste and excess water and solutes. It occurs across the filtration barrier in the renal corpuscle of the nephron that consists of the glomerular capillary endothelium and the visceral layer of the Bowman's capsule. This barrier permits passage of low molecular weight negatively charged substances into the filtrate, but retains high molecular weight and positively charged substances like plasma proteins in the blood. Damage to this barrier disrupts this function and can produce kidney failure. Serum creatinine levels and blood urea nitrogen levels reflect the glomerular filtration rate and by extension reflect kidney function. Levels of these substances rise in the blood as GFR decreases, so their elevation in the bloodstream reflects renal failure. Now I'm going to turn it over to Alex to discuss the actions of the Shiga toxin.
Thanks, Stephanie. The Shiga toxin binds receptors for itself on host red blood cells, platelets, and blood vessel endothelial cells, enters them, and shuts down protein synthesis, effectively killing the cells. Damage to the glomerular capillary endothelium damages the filtration barrier, and the blood cell fragments floating in the bloodstream clog the capillaries. The combination of glomerular capillary damage and buildup of cell fragments in the capillaries reduces the surface area available for filtration and causes acute kidney failure. This was reflected in Sunshine's elevated serum creatinine and blood urea nitrogen levels. So as GFR decreases, the fluid that would normally enter the kidney and be excreted as urine backs up in the blood, producing hypervolemia. Hypervolemia causes hypertension because of the directly proportional relationship between blood volume and pressure in the cardiovascular system. This increased blood pressure subsequently increases afterload on the heart, taxing the heart and decreasing cardiac output. And finally, hypertension and hypervolemia both increase filtration pressure in the systemic capillaries, causing edema. So I think we'll be hearing more about the holistic food lawsuits in the next couple of days.
Yes, we will.
Definitely.